I want to say welcome to our next speaker, to Mel Mason. And I had the opportunity to listen to, I don't remember, I think it was a workshop, Mel, that you did. And I've seen some of your emails and stuff, and, you know, listed as the clutter expert. And I was like, yeah, I know what that's all about. And I definitely could use some of that in my home. I've got clutter over there, clutter over there. And the beautiful thing about the camera is that you're just looking behind me. You're not looking at this that's here spread out around me. So definitely would be a good subject for your program. But when I listened to your presentation, to approach the problem, it has nothing to do with boxes and containers and all those little neat gadgets that everybody, you know, says that we need to help organize our life and you know, make things look nice and pretty. And so I just really was impressed, and I wanted to bring you on and share with the group, because truly, and I know that we hear a lot about how the clutter in our life reflects what's outside is reflected on the inside, or whichever is the more correct way to say that. But I think that the way that you approach this topic is so unique. And again, it has to do so much with your personal journey. So I would like to say welcome to Mel, and thank you for taking time to be with us this morning. I think you're coming to us today from San Diego. Emily was coming in from Arizona.
I'm actually in Palm Desert, California. I'm originally, I mean, I lived in San Diego. That's why my phone number is San Diego. So I've been in San Diego. I was in San Diego from like 2002 to 2018, pretty much. But now I'm in Palm Desert, California. I'm just not changing my phone number.
Okay. And they're still both south, right? Both?
Yeah, it's still Southern California. I'm 2 hours like northeast from San Diego now.
Because I do know I'm very jealous of all your beautiful hikes that you get to make and be out. And Emily does a lot of hiking too, and just such a beautiful opportunity to get to be out in nature and enjoy that part of our world. So, but thank you for taking time to be here. And I invite you to just go ahead and share a little bit with our audience today. I don't know, do you want to start with what you do, or how you got to where you are today?
Well, we can tie it all together, because it all kind of just ties together.
It does.
But first and foremost, Felecia, thank you so much for having me on this summit. I'm honored to be here and see some familiar faces and some new faces. Hi, Muriel. Hey, Nancy. I see you down there. Emily, thanks so much. I missed your speech. Sorry, I was in another meeting. I couldn't get here any earlier, but really wish I caught that practice you were doing. So really excited to be here with all of you. So nice to have this opportunity to share what I do, because ultimately the only way to help anybody is to be able to share my experience, because it was my experience that I went through that was designed to really help others. And so what I'll first say foremost is that I was actually someone who growing up was completely fine living in a cluttered mess. My entire floor was covered not only in stuff, but in filth, trash, and I was completely okay like that. I wasn't thinking, oh, I should really do something about my room or my space. The only time it ever got on my radar was when my mom would get so mad that she would yell at me and want me to clean my room, and I'd do nothing about it. So she would eventually clean it. But then what would happen after she cleaned it is it eventually just got that way again.
Yeah,
but why? But why? So what I didn't realize at the time is that the outside is just a mirror. Like you said it, Felecia, the outside is only a mirror of the inside. Everything out there is reflecting us back to us. And because on the inside at the time already growing up, I was littered with what I call the inner clutter, which is all the repressed emotions from trauma and loss, resentments that we take on from wrongs and harms that have been done to us, all the the fears and the limiting beliefs that we accumulate along the way, all of that stuff acts as inner clutter. And I was full of it already. But then I had an experience happen to me in my life that was almost pretty much the nail in my coffin. And at the age of 15 years old, I lost my older brother to suicide. Now, I didn't just lose him to suicide. I was the one who discovered his body, had to report his death to our father. And in the same moment of entering his house and finding him, his suicide note left all of his belongings to me, a 15-year-old who was already a cluttered mess. So, I mean, as you can imagine, my life just continued to spiral out of control. I wasn't expected by the people around me, the adults in my life, I wasn't expected to make it to see my 18th birthday alive. So every day past 18 is an absolute miracle. And I was kicked out of my sophomore year in high school for being considered a danger to myself and others. The school told my parents that she needs to go get intensive therapy before she can come back. Now, what that looked like at 15 years old was me going to spend the next year and a half of my life living in a residential treatment center just for adolescents. So I lived on property, I went to school on property, I did therapy on property, everything was on the same property. I was separated from my family, I was separated from my friends, my school. But unbeknownst to me, that is where my life would radically change. Because while I was living there, I was introduced to yoga and mindfulness. And in a nutshell, what yoga and mindfulness taught me was how to come home and be present in my body for all of that inner clutter I was talking about, all of those repressed emotions, the resentments, the fears, and the limiting beliefs. And as a result of being willing to be present for all of that, something totally unexpected happened in my life. Now, remember, I told you I was okay living in that environment. It wasn't on my radar to clean my space or to do anything different. But what started to happen as a result of practicing mindfulness, being able to be present with myself exactly as I am, is I started to spontaneously need to go through the stuff that had accumulated in my life and start cleaning up my environment. It happened from the inside out. And by it happening from the inside out, the change lasted. I didn't clear off the surface just to have it come right back again. Yeah, it comes back a little bit because it happens gradually, but I could only tolerate it so much, and then I'd have to clear it again. And then next time I couldn't tolerate it as much, I'd have to do something sooner, till it got to the point where I could no longer tolerate the clutter in my life. And I went from being someone who was completely fine living in a chaotic mess to someone who needs to have clean, clear space. And I actually have empty drawers and I can prove it. So that was my journey of myself becoming free from clutter. And it took years to figure out what I was going to do with my life, but I always knew, going through all the trauma and loss that I went through, that at some point it was meant to help others. I wasn't going through all of this just for naught. It was designed so that I could share that experience with others. And so my life has been a journey of following the breadcrumbs of spirit. I've been following the journey that God has for me to serve others and just be there for others. And first, it led me to be interested in learning energy healing. So when I was 19, I took my Reiki training. Then it led me to think I wanted to be a yoga teacher. So I took my yoga teacher training. And then that led me to I was like, oh, now I'll be a martial arts instructor. Maybe that's the path. And started studying martial arts, and then went on to do some other energy healing modalities. But it was this windy path to eventually I got an opportunity in my life to take 6 months off and figure out really what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to be in business for myself. And at that point in my life, I loved creating order out of chaos. And with my background in energy healing, I could hold really big, safe space for people, really big energy, really big emotion, just hold really safe space, loving, non-judgmental space for people. And I watched the show Hoarders for the very first time. And in seeing that show, I became absolutely horrified at what they do to the person who's struggling, because what you don't realize is that they have the person make the decisions about all their stuff in like a 4-day period of time. They have to make all of these decisions, and all of this stuff gets taken away in a very short amount of time. Well, the thing is all of that stuff that's been accumulating for years is like that person's Great Wall of China. That's their defense mechanism. You can't just come in and tear that down and expect the person to go unscathed. It re-traumatizes the person and makes them feel exposed and raw and vulnerable. And when I saw that, I was just like, I can't even believe that happens. And I decided I wanted to create a company first that would keep people from getting that way in the first place, but ultimately help people get to the root of the clutter so that it doesn't keep coming back, so that you can have clean, clear space. Everything can have a place and it can be in its place. You can feel calm and at ease in your home. And that's how Decluttering Spaces started about 8 years ago in January of 2014. And I've been serving my clients ever since.
And the reason that I just resonate with your story, and again, it just, with almost to a person, everybody that I connect with, their purpose has been their journey, whether it's through pain or, with Emily, sobriety, it's through that pathway that we've walked that brings them to the point where they can now serve and assist other people. And what really connected with me is I love how you were put into a situation that gave you the space, that initial space to contemplate and to discover that process of mindfulness, and how that truly did transform your life. And I made the connection between that practice of being mindful. And I don't know that I completely understand that statement. I'm still kind of trying to figure out the meditation thing and get that connected, and beyond just the mechanics of it to the practice. And so
what don't you understand?
I get wrapped up in the mechanics of the meditation process, and I think I lose the purpose of being there. So, I think it's that analyzer thing of me, like, do I have all the rules right? Am I getting it all?
It's all part of the journey. Everything is necessary to get you where you're.
Yeah. But I connected with your story and with your process in how, and again, it goes back to that emotional clutter that so often we carry and are not even really truly aware of it, as in your case, I think. And how it can so often be, because I kind of approach everything from the standpoint of pain, because that's where I've helped people the most in my personal practice. And I connected those emotional links and to the pain that other people may feel as a result of the clutter that surrounds them, or maybe a better way to put it is that lack of serenity and peace that comes from an uncluttered space type of a thing. So that was why I really felt strongly and reached out to you and asked you to come and share with us, because I think there's a big connection between what you do and, not just serving those individuals that feel like they have a clutter problem, but sharing with those individuals that have other stuff, clutter going on in their life, where they can't reach a point of peace and calm type thing. I don't know. Do you see that in your practice with the people that you work with, or is that just a connection that I've made?
No, I mean, it's absolutely true, because the clutter that manifests is just an external symptom. And so for some people, it shows up as physical clutter. For some of us, it shows up as excess weight that we carry around. For some of us, it's drug addiction, like Emily was talking about, alcoholism. For some of us, it's the excess need for Botox and to change our appearance because we're not happy with ourselves, or, binge eating, purging, all of those things, all of those symptoms, external manifestations. And some of us are lucky enough to have like more than one of those. I mean, I had drug addiction too. I was looking at 6 years in prison for attempting to sell crystal meth and driving under the influence. So I mean, we all have, it all shows up in, in different manifestations for people. So it's not just the physical clutter. And that's when people first think it, that's what they automatically think of, the piles that accumulate. But ultimately, all of it is avoidance. We don't look at the piles that we accumulate. We consume drugs and alcohol to numb, to avoid. We inject Botox because we don't want to look at who we are. We want to avoid who we are. We want to change our appearance. It's all avoidance. And so it's just learning how to allow is the reversal. But yeah, it's all avoidance. Same thing.
Okay. And I don't remember, I don't even know if we talked about doing this, but I'd like for you to at least describe for us that mindful practice that we could start. I don't know if we have time for you to walk us through that, but at least describe that practice to us so that we have an idea of, what exactly are you talking about, and maybe some tools that we, if we'd like to pursue it further, what would you recommend for us there? So
Yeah, I would be happy to, actually. So first and foremost, I'll talk about the tool, but even one better, I'll drop the link in the chat after, is that this Saturday from 11:30 to 1:30 Pacific time, I am teaching the in-depth Allowing the Now workshop, the technique that Felecia is talking about that I'll explain to you in just a moment. But it's totally for free. It's going to be 11:30 to 1:30 Pacific time. I'll drop the link, and all you have to do is register. If you're not able to attend live, if you register, you'll get the replay link. So all you have to do is register. So don't worry if you can't be there live. And we definitely do a really in-depth experiential of the Allowing the Now practice. So little caveat, I'll be teaching it this Saturday. If you're available, if you're not available, there'll be a replay, just register. But what Felicia's talking about is, what I was talking about is that I learned mindfulness and learned how to be present for my experience, be present for all of that inner clutter. Because ultimately what it really comes down to, like I said a moment ago, is avoidance. We're avoiding anything that's uncomfortable, that doesn't feel good, and we're turning our attention away. And then on top of it, you cling on to and hang on to and attach to things that feel good that you don't want to let go of. So you're always in this state of contracted energy, whether you're avoiding or clinging and attaching. It's this state of contraction. And when you're in a state of contraction, you're blocking the flow. If your hands are closed, they're not open to be able to receive anything, right? They're completely closed. If I were to put money in your hand, you couldn't take it, right? It would just fall to the ground. So the only thing that you need to do in order to get free from clutter on every level, physical, mental, emotional, is to allow the moment to simply be. And so I have a technique that I teach my clients. I've been teaching them from the beginning, and I tell all my clients this: if you just do this one piece that I tell you consistently, your life will change. Because this is what happened for me. I don't teach anything that I didn't experience. Everything that I share with you is what I learned as a direct result of me getting through my own clutter. And so this practice that I'm teaching you is what I learned that made me spontaneously clear the space in my room, in my life, and made me go from being the cluttered, chaotic person that I was to someone who can no longer tolerate clutter in my life anymore. So it's a practice I call allowing the now. And it's exactly as it sounds. All you're doing is allowing the moment to simply be exactly as it is without needing to change it in any way. What we do is we spend so much time focused outward, and changing our circumstances and doing. We need to be willing to be present with our own experience and turn our attention from what's going on out here to what's going on inside. Because all of those piles of accumulated clutter, all they represent really is your unwillingness to look at yourself because you've been avoiding those piles. It's just a mirror. It's just a mirror of avoidance, you avoiding you. So the solution is for you to bring your presence to your life. And we do that through the allowing the now practice. And all it is just being willing. The key is the willingness, your willingness to stop what you're doing and sit and turn your intention within, even for just a few seconds, is where the magic happens. It doesn't take more than that. You do that consistently over time and you will get results. It's all in your willingness. But it's about you being willing to turn your attention and be present with what's going on with you in this moment. What does it feel like to be you right now? What does it feel like in your body? Are there any sensations that arise to the surface that make themselves known? Are there any thoughts that are standing out? Is your mind racing? Is your breathing shallow? Whatever you notice, your only job is to notice it and make a mental note of it. It's like, oh, my mind is racing. Oh, my breath is shallow. Oh, there's a tingling sensation. There's no judgment. There's no changing anything. There's only a witnessing of your experience. Because when you can witness the experience, you're allowing it to be as it is. You're not resisting it in any way, and you're not trying to hang on to it in any way. And then the energy can flow. And when you can allow is where you start to make the space on the inside. And because the outside is just a mirror of the inside, the more space you make inside, the more space happens outside. And it really happens, if you guys are all familiar with energy and vibration, everything is energy and everything is in motion, meaning that everything vibrates. So everything has its own frequency. And clutter has a frequency that's a low vibrational energy that is stuck. And then because the outside is a mirror of the inside, while you have the clutter, you're a vibrational match to the clutter. But as you do the allowing the now practice, you start raising your vibration little by little. And eventually you become no longer a match to the clutter. And the gap gets so big that it eventually makes you move and start clearing the clutter in your life. It happens just vibrationally. It's just science. Everything is energy. You create a gap big enough and then you have to do something about it. But the best part about it is you're not forcing yourself to do it anymore. You actually want to do it, and it's fun. My clients tell me they have fun doing this. And I've had clients doing this work finally say that this is it. Like, this is the way to do it. Like, don't do anything else but allowing the now. This is where the changes happen. Years and years and years of accumulation, 50, 60, 70 years of accumulation and hanging on to stuff, slowly opening up and watching people start letting go and creating space in their lives just from this one practice. So what I always tell all my clients to do is make space in your life for 5 minutes a day. Start with 5 minutes. If you can't sit that long, pick however long you can and start there, but just do it consistently. That's the key, is the consistency. Your willingness to show up consistently for yourself is where the magic happens. So the allowing the now practice is all about turning your awareness within you and being willing to witness your experience exactly as you are in a non-judgmental, loving space. Just holding that space for yourself to be exactly as you are. That's all it is. And I'll be doing an in-depth workshop on it this Saturday between 11:30 and 1:30 Pacific. You're all welcome. It's absolutely free.
I thank you for that. Now, I want to share a little bit. I wish I had brought the book in with me, because so much of our conversation today has truly been about vibration and frequency. And the name of the book I've had it for years. I've read at it and highlighted stuff, and I go and grab it again occasionally, is Power versus Force. I cannot remember the author, scientist.
Yeah, I forget. Was it Matt? I forget who wrote it, but I read it a long time ago. Yes.
Yeah, and it very depth. I love to bring it out and show it to people when we talk about frequency, because it just takes words. And those words have been assigned a frequency or a vibration rate. And you've got a scale of, I don't remember, I think it's 1 to 1,000. And words and thoughts and actions that are below a certain level of value are words that literally suck energy away from us. And then words that are above that, like love and connection and empathy, they are words that allow us to release and emanate energy into our surrounding. And so what you are working with is those words, those experiences, that energy, and being able to elevate your personal frequency so that you literally have to rebound and recoup that environment that you're in, just to have, there's a word here, coherence, or where you bring those two together. So words, my friend, that you use today that speak to me very much was, you use the term breadcrumbs of spirit. I love that. And the word witness. It's a witness to being. And those are powerful words. And I think they bring a lot to the conversation and to the work that you do. So I value this time that we have spent together. And your story just amazes me. And the work that you do just astonishes me, in that it's so freeing and so liberating and so gentle. I think that's just awesome, beautiful, so wonderful. So I'm gonna ask you my favoriteest question. and you've got an interesting history. So, as far as you want to share with our group, what is the most bodacious thing you've ever done or experienced that you'd like to share with our audience today?
Well, we'll share a couple. I'll share two things. One, is it's more a little on the, I don't even want to use I'm just going to say it without any prejudgment. I am actually, at 14 years old, I guess the most bodacious thing I ever did was, at 14 years old, I broke out of a psychiatric ward with someone else, wound up getting arrested, tried kicking the window out of the cop car, and then got brought back to the psychiatric ward to then be kicked out of the psychiatric ward as a 14-year-old.
That's pretty bodacious.
Okay, that was when I was 14. Now, something that I'm super passionate about, that I got the opportunity to do, was something called a hawk walk. And if you ever see me around, a lot of times I'll have hawks or birds on my shirt. And I got an opportunity to do this thing with a group of people where we walked around on this huge property. We all had a glove on, and we'd put quail egg on, and we'd be flying this Harris hawk between our gloves through this whole property, in and out of trees, up and down slopes, and just having this amazing experience with this bird of prey flying to you and landing on you, and then flying to someone else, and flying right between you, and standing still and having it fly right by your head, and its feathers touch your face. You're like, that was absolutely magical.
This is awesome. So we had whales with Amy, and now we've had elephants with Emily, and now hawks with you. Oh, what a beautiful.
Love this.
It has just been magical. So that is way cool. So, okay. And you shared that you're doing the workshop that you're doing on Saturday. I love the fact
I just dropped the link
that we're going to be this close, so that we can facilitate people participating in that and coming away with that experience. So our timing with my speakers this time has just been really beautiful.
Absolutely perfect.
Allow our audience to tap into these additional resources. So thank you so much. It seemed, and one other thing that I wanted to bring up before we get gone is, I want to say congratulations to you and share with our audience the fact that you're going to be having your own TV show. So share
Yes.
about that, because I think that is just super cool.
Yeah, it blows me away too, because the ironic thing is I'm someone who doesn't own a TV, nor do I watch TV. I don't subscribe to Netflix. I have an Amazon Prime account, but I use it for the free shipping, not for watching anything. I watch a documentary once in a while. That's pretty much the extent of it. I'm not even a YouTube watcher. So the ironic thing is that I was approached in December last year, and they came to me and said, if you don't already have a contract with a network, I would like to offer you your own TV show. And I just kind of went,
What?
what?
You
You have the
talking to
right
me?
person. What do you mean a TV show? And in my mind, I actually didn't want to do it because I tell people I don't watch TV, and quite frankly, it's a television. Someone's telling you their vision. You know what I mean? So I get to tell you my vision on TV and help promote other people. But and so I almost backed out. I almost told them that I didn't want to do it. I really struggled, and um, I tell you, it's following the breadcrumbs of spirit. And I was ready to back out, and they sent me my show opener, and they didn't have a conversation with me about it. They just took some information off my website, and something that's not on my website anywhere. I'm not sure where they even would have found this information out, but at the core of my philosophy is that it's your birthright to experience happiness and abundance in every area of your life. And clutter is anything that gets in the way of that. But even on a spiritual level, it just clutters anything that keeps you disconnected from source. It blocks your flow of source completely, sending its influx to you, being able to receive the influx of spirit. And you need to be able to be open and receive the complete influx of spirit. And I totally lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with this, but anyway, it was just meant to go out the window.
Well, I just am thrilled about that. And I think it's a beautiful opportunity for you to get to share your vision and your mission with a world that desperately needs it. And I think it's going to be a blessing to many people. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Oh, now I remember. It's the God shot. They sent me my show opener. And at the very end of the show opener, my whole thing is about, being connected to source and, ascending and raising your vibration. And the very last thing it said at the show opener was, "You are now an ascended master." And I was just like, okay, I guess we're doing this. Guess I'm gonna have a TV show. It's not my plan. I just suit up and show up. Like, it's not my plan. I would have never had a TV show. So
And isn't that true so often? We have a passion within us, a story that we have to tell, and we walk the path that's put before us, and these resources just are placed in front of you to take advantage of. So enjoy that and look forward to the multitude of people that you're going to touch and inspire and elevate. So
thank you.
awesome. Mel, thank you. I appreciate so much you're taking time to be here today and working us into your busy schedule. And I just love what you're doing, and I love you. I hope I get to come out and spend some time with you, and maybe be fortunate enough to go play with the Hawks. That would just be way too cool.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If someone asked when is the TV show, it's scheduled to air this summer. So we're in production now, in the process of onboarding all the guests. It's quite a process because it's a show that actually receives IMDb accreditation, and so there's a huge benefit to being on the show. So you don't actually just come on the show for free. You pay to come on the show. It's an actual income earner, and so it's enrolling people and getting people to actually be willing to come on the show and invest in their business and sharing that. And then real quick, I don't know if you're going to touch on this, but I did want to, if it's okay with you, gift your audience with a free gift that I have. I did write a book, it's called Freedom from Clutter, the guaranteed foolproof step-by-step process to remove the stuff that's weighing you down. But I don't want you to have physical clutter. I don't want you to take the physical book. I'm going to give you the full-length PDF for free. Just click the link. You just copy and paste the link. It's freegiftfrommel.com. You can download the whole book for free. Just put your name and email address in.
You're beautiful. I love you, lady. Thank you
for being
here with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
And thank you I meant to bring up your book. And so thank you. I love it. It's perfect. So awesome. You have a blessed rest of your day.
You too. Thanks so much for having me.
Bye-bye.